Hi everyone! Today on my bench I have a Shure digital wireless receiver for repair, model QLXD4. This unit doesn't power up. Let's take a look. Here it is with the cover off, and here is the 12-volt supply for it. The supply is tested, no problem with it at all. So let's connect it here on the back of the unit and probe this 12-volt input. And look what's happening here. The supply is pulsing. It seems like it is shutting down, probably because of some overload. Then it's trying to start again and shutting down again, and so on. I started probing around here and I looked up this chip. This is a 3-channel step-down converter, and it seems like these 3 smaller chips are MOSFETs for these channels. This diode seems to be a reverse polarity protection diode from the 12-volt input. Then there is a transistor, probably a switch, because the power button on the front panel is a soft button. And then there is this capacitor, and I measure only about 4.7 ohms to ground, and that most probably is not good. I see 3 0-ohm resistor links, probably on the outputs, one here, and one more here. And this is ground point. On this resistor there's only 2.7 ohms to ground. On this one about 4.1 ohms, and on this one some kilo ohms. So this looks okay, but something is wrong about these 2 channels. Something is nearly shorted there. I removed the resistor links. The resistors are still there, but soldered to one side only, so I don't lose them. And the low resistance is not in the power supply. So this side is on this inductor, and we see some high resistance. And on the other side of the resistor, 2.7 ohms, and the same thing here. On the power supply side, some high resistance, and on the other side, on this capacitor, 4.1 ohms. So the low resistance is not in the power supply, but somewhere downstream. So I removed this cover, and we see a digital part here. NXP microcontroller, flash with firmware, RAM, Spartan-6 FPGA, and Ethernet controller right next to the Ethernet port. And I believe there's a burn mark on this Ethernet chip. Here it is under the microscope. Look at this burn mark. Let's shine some more light on it. KSZ8081, I believe. And let's check resistance around here. 1.5 ohms to ground, 2.9 here, 2.7 here. I removed the chip, but the short is still there. Not here. We measured 1.5 ohms to ground at this point, not anymore. But here we still have 2.9 and 2.7 here. And I believe this is 3.3 volt rail marked right here. 2.7 ohms to ground. And this rail is all over the place. Here on FPGA and on MCU and here and on RAM, here and here, and everywhere. So it's not clear at all what else might be wrong. And the chip definitely has a hole in it. Here it is. So something must have gone horribly wrong here and killed a few chips, perhaps. Now we need to figure out what else is bad. Let's inject 1 volt, limited to 0.3 amps for now, right into that 3.3 volt rail and see what gets hot. Let's go. And we have a hot spot right here. And that's the only one. And this is FPGA. So I removed the FPGA and the short is gone now. No short anymore. But I see a problem here in the power supply. These 3 chips have 2 independent N-channel MOSFETs in them, used as a half bridge here, and this one is shorted. And that means 12 volts or so, slightly lower because of that reverse polarity protection diode, goes straight to this output, which is 3.3 volt rail. And if 11 or so volts hit that rail, I wouldn't be surprised if everything here is gone. Which means this SPI flash, MCU, EEPROM, and RAM. Maybe some of them survived, but at least they are suspect now. I removed this chip, and now the short is gone, but I wonder if this controller chip is okay. Here is this chip on Mouser, for about $1 a piece, if you don't need 10 or more. I soldered a new chip, and here I am measuring this 3.3 volt rail, which is still disconnected from the load. I set up this power supply to provide 12 volts, and look at this. The power supply does not start, it's pulsing, so I guess that the controller chip is dead. I removed the controller chip, here it is, and unfortunately it is obsolete, so I could only find a replacement on eBay. Here is one piece. I bought it for about $7 plus 8 shipping, so about 15 and change total. Not very cheap, but that's the best I could find. It turns out that the chip is programmable and my blank replacement does not do anything. So here I'm trying to read configuration from a working unit using this FT232H adapter, which I just bought from DigiKey. And there is a 4-pin unpopulated connector here, which is I2C interface connected directly to the chip. And I'm using Claude to help me to write a Python script to read all relevant registers and program my blank chip. Here I'm trying to program the blank chip, and the programming seems to go fine, but every time I load the registers and chip tries to start, it shuts down immediately. And after a while I found that this inductor, which was soldered here, is shorted, and this is the 3.3 volt channel in which the dual MOSFET was shorted before. And now I'm starting to think that the original chip was probably fine. It pulsed because of this shorted inductor. And it's a bit tricky to notice a shorted inductor. Here is an identical part in the channel 1, and the resistance of that part is about 0.9 ohms, and the shorted one is about 0.15. Let's check with LCR meter. This good inductor is about 153 microhenry, and this shorted one is about 1.8. And I found exactly this part on Mouser for about $2, but for now, just to test, I found this 100 microhenry inductor. About 40% lower inductance might lead to higher ripple, but other than that, it's a better inductor with lower resistance, higher Q, and larger core, which means higher saturation current. Should be good enough for testing. Here is this inductor by Coilcraft on Mouser, and 154 here in the part number means 150 microhenry, and the DC resistance is 0.9 ohms, just about what I measured. $2.23 a piece, 28 pieces available, can ship immediately. The chip is programmed now, let's check. This is 3.3 volt rail, no problem. This is 1.2 volt rail, perhaps FPGA core. This is 6.4 volt rail, and there is also some circuitry to produce -10 volt rail. This is exactly like in the working unit. I connected the front panel and there is nothing going on here. So I started probing around here for some signs of life, and I saw some bursts of activity on the scope, on the SPI flash in particular. And there is a 4-pin unpopulated connector with the pins marked 3.3 volts, ground, transmit and receive. So I hooked up this logic analyzer to the transmit pin and I captured some messages. And I see the same messages in the working unit. So it seems that the processor is working, and this processor has no flash inside, so it must be reading software from this SPI flash chip and executing it. It doesn't mean that the processor is fully functional, but looks good so far. And we don't know what to expect without the FPGA. So I would think the next step should be soldering a replacement FPGA and perhaps the Ethernet chip as well. And here is what I captured with my logic analyzer. A few packets of messages. Let's look at this. Warning. Hardware only has priority bits, and so on. And I've seen exactly the same messages in the working unit, so this doesn't seem to be about some problems in this unit. And here I found the right FPGA on lcsc.com for about $11 a piece. And this is the Ethernet chip, just about $1 a piece. I soldered the replacement Spartan-6 FPGA and the Ethernet transceiver chip, and now look at this. It boots and works. And if I turn on this transmitter, here we can see blue light and RF level, and the Ethernet port works as well. Let me show you. Here I can see this unit in the Shure update utility, and it already happens to have the latest version of the firmware. So I still want to replace this inductor, but I will order it later. For now, the unit is fixed and works fine. Thanks for watching. Bye.